Hi, my name is Olivia, and this is my video discussion for this week on a current event. In light of the most recent mass school shooting in Nashville, I for one heard on the news that the shooter was being treated for an emotional and mental health disorders. Immediately, I was led to believe that once again a mass shooting was taking place by a person suffering from a mental illness. According to CNN, which is the article that I chose, the shooter, known as Audrey Hill, entered the school, a private Christian school in a Nashville suburb, on Monday, March 27th at 10:13 a.m. Within 14 minutes of entering the school, she killed 3 children and 3 adults. She was then fatally shot at 10:27 by a member of the Nashville Police Department. There are many unanswered questions following this latest shooting, but one thing that is clear was premeditated and pre-planned. Hill had attended the same school years ago, and I am personally questioning that possibly something in her past at the school may have played a role in this shooting. The authorities have released information upon searching her home and that she had mapped out the school and her plan of attack for that day. It looks as though Hale had once targeted a nearby mall, but determined that the security was too tight at the time. Hale had 3 guns, and the police reported they confiscated more guns at Hale's home. The shooting now brings the total number of fatalities at a school or university in the U.S. in 2023 to 19 students. There have been 42 shootings since the large one in Uvalde, Texas, where 21 students were shot last May. I chose this article because I had just last Sunday submitted a paper on mental health cases, and after hearing from many news sources that Hale suffered from mental health, it immediately grabbed my attention. I all last week was looking up current events that mental health cases that led to events that my peers would know about. And so when this article came out, it immediately drew my attention when they started to talk about her mental health and emotional health and things like that. I also dived in and looked up the shooters of previous school shootings, and all have suffered or were currently suffering from mental health issues. The issue that I found in my paper that I wrote for my previous class was that mental health issues in Montana, which is where I live, where mental health cases are very, very high. And then after reading a lot of these news articles, all states are suffering from high numbers of mental health cases. In my paper, I wrote that in Montana, solution would be teaching and educating on mental health as part of the school curriculum in Montana schools, making mental health not a negative connotation and not segregating students who are struggling with mental health, but normalizing it and allowing all students a chance to be educated. A little bit more on that on my paper, just because it relates to this article. In Montana, mental health is only taught by counselors, so it is only taught once a student has to go to the counselor. And I think that we would see an improvement if all students were taught and educated on mental health and it wasn't looked as a negative connotation. Students weren't having to go see a counselor for mental health, but all students were educated on it, and that would not only allow students to recognize mental health issues in themselves, but it would also help them recognize mental health issue in their peers. I think that everyone's feelings about this issue of the school shooting are different. Some want to focus on the gun laws leading up to this. Some want to focus on the school's security and the school's protection for students and staff. I think all of those are valid things to be looking at. But personally, I was looking at the mental health and emotional health of the shooter. I think that one similarity between the last school shootings is mental health, and that is also one thing that communities can work towards educating and treating and making mental health a more well-known topic. My questions that I have for this are: do you believe most shooters have mental illness? Do you believe gun control is more to blame than mental illness in shooters? And what should schools be doing to help prevent shooters from entering their schools? Thank you, and I will put the news article at the bottom.